Hello, I'm Tom Moore from the Bartitsu Lab, and today on this freezing cold day I'm going to be showing you some of the techniques from the early gloved boxing champions, some dirty tricks, some legal tricks, things you can try out, and different ways they use different techniques to gain competitive advantage. Bear in mind that much of these are from competitive boxing as opposed to boxing for self-defense, but there are many things we can port over. So without further ado, we're going to start with Sandy Sadler's slashing jab. Try saying that when you're drunk. Sandy Sadler had a method of throwing the jab which caused significant lacerations and pain and distraction. So when he was throwing his jab, he found ways to rake that jab across the opponent in order to cause cuts under the eyes, above the eyes, to otherwise cause pain and disruption for a power shot to follow. So we're going to show you some of Sandy Sadler's cutting or slashing jabs. First of these is the outward jab. So I'm southpaw, so if you're orthodox, just switch it around, but my jabbing hand in the Sandy Sadler method launches forward, and as opposed to landing as a solid jab like this or like this, it lands cutting outwards. So if you imagine if you're aiming for the center of the mouth, by the time the jab finishes, it'll be on the outer side. So it launches up and rakes out, so it's raking outwards. So the first of these shots is designed to cause cuts above the eyes and below the eyes. You can also turn the head really well. So a normal jab is penetrative, bam, bam, and it knocks you back. You know, if you're doing it right, it should hurt. Sandy Sadler's jab cuts you, one, but two, turns your face. So it turns the face to deliver that final shot. So the outside Sandy Sadler jab comes forward, forward, forward like a normal jab. At the last minute, it rips outwards. And a lot of that is to do with popping the shoulder. And it rips outwards. So from here, as you can see, a normal jab, Sandy Sadler jab. And if you imagine that's turned the face, and then you can follow through, because if the face is turned, the knockout is easy to attain. So Sandy Sadler, boom, slashing that jab that way. What he also does is drop that jab downwards. So as well as the outward slasher jab, the downward slasher jab. So the knuckles in this instance rake down the face. So from here, down. And again, you have to tip your body a little bit forward and down to get that raking effect. This is best aimed at the nose or the chin, but it rakes down the opponent. It's better in smaller gloves. At the time where Sandy Sadler was boxing, the gloves were anywhere between 2 and 4 ounces. So a light glove, lots of knuckle penetration. So for bare knuckle self-defense or for light glove boxing, this is ideal. So his first slasher jab, his second slasher jab is downward. So you see the difference, the trajectory is down. I'm exaggerating this drop for you now. It's a lot more subtle in real life. Comes forward, 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 rakes down. So outwards and downwards. Those are two of Sandy Sadler's slashing jabs. Then we move on to Tommy Loughran. And Tommy Loughran was a very good defensive boxer. And essentially what he did was he did what's called a jab and a half. Every time he threw his jab, and in boxing we always explore with the jab or the lead off, he'd find that people would also jab at the exact same time, or they'd try and time it with a hook or a cross. And being timed off your jab, it's very disruptive, very painful. You can get caught and you can get knocked cold. So what he developed was his jab and a half. Every time he jabbed, he would bring forward his rear hand at the same time. So as opposed to here, he'd bring both hands out. Sometimes, actually, the lead hand would stop and the rear hand would come forward. So every time he's punching, he's always got 2 hands in play. Now, reason one, when he jabs, he's got that cover, so he's already muffling what from the opponent would likely be their right hand, their power hand. So for a southpaw like me, this is ideal. I jab here and I cover the power hand, And again, this could be stopping the fist as it punches. It could be stopping the fist so it remains in the guard. Imagine most people with a tight guard, as soon as you put your hand on it, it's useless. They can't do anything. Okay, so you can stop the punch or catch the punch. You can just stop the hand as it remains in the guard, or if you want to, and you're fast enough, you can stop the shoulder itself, which essentially stops the entire arm from being able to punch. So shoulder stop and hit. That's Tommy Loughran's jab and a half. Get used to firing both out simultaneously and get used to thinking, catching a punch, stopping a guard, or getting the shoulder. Okay, nice and easy. Tommy Loughlin's jab and a half. I really like it. I think it's a really good technique, especially for self-defense boxing. It closes down that right hand of your opponent, especially if you do it from a southpaw position, which means if they've got a weapon, if they've got a really good right hand, you're neutering that and getting your jab in first. And as soon as you've done that, the hand that was blocking is now ideal to strike. You know, it's already out, so you can finally finish that technique off. Okay, then we're going to move on to a Filipino boxer called Pancho Villa. And Pancho Villa had two amazing signature techniques. First one is called his jab hook. So obviously we jab, boom, or we hook, boom. Pancho Villa, rangy, flashy fighter that kept his hands low, his jab hook would be like so. The arm would move as if it were a normal jab. At the last minute, he would turn it so it just crunches in to the side of the face. So from relatively down low, relaxed, jab, 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 hook. Okay, so that's Pancho Villa's jab hook. And you can get some pretty decent power in it as long as you use decent shoulder torque, hips and legs with it. So from here, so again, jab, 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 turn and extend. And again, in reality, this is a perfect setup for the rear hand. Because I'm already cocked. As soon as I'm here, I'm already cocked to throw that hand. Or if we're talking Bartitsu, already cocked, elbow, headbutt, okay? So Pancho Villa's, against a punch bag, doesn't really do it much justice. It doesn't make the same power sound as a normal hook. But it's really painful, it's really sneaky, it can hook round guards, so for that reason, I really like it. The next is how Pancho Villa did a double to the body. And again, I'm doing this from a southpaw perspective. In fact, I'll do it from an orthodox perspective so you get a better shot. Traditional wisdom is two hooks. Body, head would go like so. Body, head. Yeah, depending on the degree of which people retract it, but Pancho Villa, as opposed to hooking the body and bringing it back out again, he went down, his elbow went down. So hook, down, hook. It's more of a shovel hook to the head. So we found that that covered his body against any likely counter-attack and made the hook to the head, or the shovel hook to the head, really deceptive. And if you don't see it, it knocks you out. So Pancho Villa's double hooks to the body. First one hits as normal. Then instead of bringing the elbow back a little bit, like would be orthodox, you know, most people go bang, bang. He goes bang, elbow drop, bang. Which I find is a very interesting, explosive way to work that double hook. Okay, next we're going to look at Sonny Liston. So we've jumped forward now about 60 years from some of the boxes we've been covering. We're going to look at how Sonny Liston got power off his hook. Sonny Liston had a scary, scary hook. And one of the ways he developed this is called the slam the door drill. Okay, so if you imagine, I'll go from orthodox to make it easier. With my left leg forward, my body is the door, okay? And my right leg, which is facing that way, is the hinge of that door, okay? If I want to slam the door, I turn my body here to here. I treat my body like it's the door and I slam that door. And what Sonny Liston did, he turns, he slams that door, and both feet now are facing in the direction of the hook. So the whole body is traveling with it. So from here to here, the entire body turns. He's slamming that door closed, okay? So you've got to get used to pivoting on your toes really explosively. And he would lock out his arm in a solid 90 degrees, keeping his fist locked in. And he almost treats this as the aftershock of the turn. So the main move is moving the body, the wrist and the arm follows it in a perfectly locked out position, okay? So the main points of this are to turn the body fully and squarely into where the punch is going. Slam the door. Most people commit only a little to the hook. They commit a little bit of shoulder, a little bit of hip, bang. Sonny Liston, oh. So he's not taking his eyes off the target, I'm just doing that to show you. So I'm looking at you, boom. He slammed the entire door shut by turning his body. By turning his body fully, he's getting all of his mass into that blow. By locking his arm out, he's got a really powerful shot. Okay. So, Sonny Liston's Slam the Door drill, which I find quite interesting. It's not my preferred choice of hook, but as an academic exercise, getting used to squaring that body off, it's an interesting power generation dynamic. And for some people, especially shorter people, I think, really, really useful. And then finally, we're going to look at a little horrible bastard called Battling Nelson. And Battling Nelson had a sneaky bastard shot from the era where the gloves were very, very small. And it's called the scissor punch. And it goes like this. When he's punching, he's flaring out his thumb and his forefinger, and he's making like a pinching scissor type motion. And what he would do is he'd fire this in to hooks to the body. So he'd use the pinpoint accuracy of the thumb and the foreknuckle and dig that in. And if you're fast with it, you could even get a bit of a skin rip with it. And you typically aim this to the liver and spleen. So essentially either side under your nipples, about here, you'd rip that scissor punch in. So from here, rip the scissor punch, rip the scissor punch, rip the scissor punch. Two ways to do this. You can do it like a hook this way, or you can do it like an uppercut. Either way gives you the same striking surface, but it's really good if you aim liver, spleen, or if you're thinking self-defense, into the kidneys or into the throat. That scissor punch actually can cause some serious damage. A, because of the percussive power of using the thumb and the foreknuckle, and B, because of the pain and distraction you can get from the grip thereafter. So if I did scissor punch to the throat, then grip a bit, I can turn the head a bit more to fire that shot. It's never going to instantly end someone. It's not like a Vulcan death grip, but the scissor punch will cause pain, will cause distraction, and the distraction can lead to the knockout. But Battling Nelson scissor punch into the body. So with my right hand, I get it across my body into the opponent's liver, really dig that in as a percussive shot. I can grab a bit of skin and then fire the following up shot. So Battling Nelson, horrible little cunt of a man, brilliant, nasty scissor punch shot. It's quite hard to pull off against the bag, but against sparring partners, it's quite good. It's also quite good when you're in things like the mount. If you just want to distract people and shift them a bit, you can dig in that scissor punch, grab a bit of skin, move them, and then move into your hammer fists and all your guerrilla fighting, which people prefer. But again, scissor punch. So to go back through these techniques, you've got Sandy Sadler's slicing jab, slicing out and slicing down. You've got Tony Loughran's jab and a half. So covering yourself, catching the punch and punching the face, stopping the punch and punching the face, stopping the shoulder, punching the face. You've got Pancho Villa's hook jab, so straight, 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 hook, straight, 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 hook, and Pancho Villa's body head combination, so hook to the body, drop the elbow sharply down, hook to the head, or shovel hook to the head I should say. You've got Sonny Liston's Slam the Door drill, moving the shoulders square and using your body as approximate to a door, bang, straight across. And you've got Battling Nelson's evil bastard scissor punch into the vital points, into the throat, into the liver, into the spleen, even into the groin. Nice and nasty, give it a play.